Life-Enrichment with Hank Ballinger. Today, I want to talk to you about failure is a good thing. Now, many times in life, as we are growing and we get in trouble or we have failures in life, we view them as a negative, and many times we're upset and we're sad. But I want to think about that maybe a little differently today. Especially as kids, we get into trouble. Our parents, maybe we get a whipping, or maybe that we get time out, whatever the case may be. As kids, we don't understand. We just know we don't like being in trouble. We don't like the idea of there being consequences for our actions. But as kids, we do realize pretty soon that if we get in trouble, it's not a good thing. We're really upset about it. Now, hopefully, as we grow up, we learn from that and we realize, okay, I don't want to do this because the last time I got in trouble for that, so I'm going to change and I'm going to do it a little different this time, and I won't get in trouble, and it'll be okay. So hopefully, as we grow up, we learn that when we get in trouble or when we have failures, we do something differently and then we succeed. So that is the reason in life we are corrected when we have those failures. But many times when we are young people fail to see the idea that when they get in trouble and they're corrected, that's a good thing. We always want to just think, well, why don't everybody see things my way? I should be able to do whatever I want to do, no consequences, everybody just agree with it, everybody go along, everybody should be okay because it's the way I want to do it. Very little parts of life that work like that, okay? School doesn't work like that, society doesn't work like that, real life doesn't work like that. And if everybody got what they wanted, really nobody would get what they wanted because everybody would just be out for self. And as you try to make it in business, you will have to realize that the more we work with others and make sure they get what they want, we will get what we want. Odd how that works. But again, as we grow up, young people, as kids, we don't like correction. We don't like thinking that this correction is going to make us better. That's not even part of the process. In our minds, we're just thinking, I got in trouble, that's a bad thing. We're too young to understand that when correction and failure come, if we learn from them, that's a very good thing, very positive, very positive. Now, how do we react to failure and correction? Now, I know going through school that some people I saw as I was going, when they would get in trouble in school, maybe have to go to the principal's office or get a paddling way back then, they reacted very negatively, and then it seems like the next day they're in trouble again, and the next day they're in trouble. But there were a few people that when they would get in trouble, then the next day they were much better, and very seldom did they get in trouble after that. So the correction really worked well with that person or that group of people. So how do we react to failure and correction in our adult life? Very important that we learn how to use failure and correction as a stepping stone on our way to the top. They're not steps that are steps of descent. They are steps that are steps of an ascent to help to make us better. So think of them that way. Now, I know many times in school, a lot of times I'd have teachers, they would say, well, you need to do this, and maybe I didn't do very well on a test. And I get that test back, maybe I made a C. So as I noticed, a lot of times if you make a C, you will notice that there are generally some red ink on your paper. And that red ink, when you look at that, the more red ink as you get that paper, even before you see the grade, you know the more red ink that's on that paper, the worse it is. So you realize, man, I've had more failure there. There's more red ink, more failure. So we learn in school that if you fail, that's bad. And if you get that paper back and the only red ink is at the top, as if it says 100, that's good. Very little red ink is good. So in school, a lot of times we think failure bad, success good. There's some truth to that. Success is good, success is fun. But generally, there are very, very few things you will do in life that you won't have some failure in order to get to the point that you succeed. And what you're going to find is the more we fail, the stronger we become. Now, I'm not saying intentionally fail or intentionally do wrong, but what I'm saying is you will have failure. Just view that failure in a different light. Some sales personnel look at it like this. Some sales reps will say, I figure that I'm going to have 10 no's before I get a yes. So if I'm going to get 10 no's to get one yes, I'm only maybe 9 no's, and then the 10th one will be a yes. So they figure about a 90% failure rate and a 10% success rate. So a good salesman looks at it like this. 1 no means that now I only have to get 8 more no's to get a yes. And then the second one, I only have to get 7 more. And then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then after that one, the odds are getting really good in my favor. The next one will be a yes. So if I'm only going to do 10% of positive door-to-door calling or selling as a salesman, if I'm only going to do 10%, that doesn't mean that you quit after 6 or 7 because nobody bought. That means that you just have to knock on a whole lot more doors. That means that you have to do a whole lot more visiting or pushing the product. Because if you know you're going to get 10%, instead of just seeing 10 people today and getting 1 sale, why not try to see 20 and get 2 sales, or 30 and get 3? With social media, you could literally do a lot of that online and maybe do 300-400 calls in a day and maybe make 20 to 30 sales. A lot of logic there. Multimedia, social media has made it to where we can really push the products. So don't look at failure as a bad thing. Look at it as an opportunity to succeed and learn from that failure. Now, failure must have negative consequences. Now, as we grow up, different people in different homes, years ago, if you acted very bad, your parents would spank you. Nowadays, a lot of times it's time out or various things that they do to make you realize you shouldn't act that way. But whatever, we have to realize that if I react or if I act negatively or I do the wrong things or bad things, there's negative consequences. Now, I know a lot of times today, a lot of sports teams, doesn't matter how they do, if they come in first place or last place in the season, doesn't matter. And doesn't matter who played, who didn't, the whole team gets a trophy. I'm not saying yay or nay to that. That's up to the team. But what I am saying, in life, if you have failure, there are negative consequences. So life teaches you that if I mess up, I need to get better if I want to succeed. And that's very important in life. It's a very, very good lesson that we should and must learn. That failure just says, okay, we got to do better. Doesn't say we quit. Doesn't say that we retreat and stop doing. It just says we got to change maybe our methods and start doing things better. So failure is not a bad thing. Now, I love what Robert Kiyosaki and a lot of other people have said, that we learn more from failure than we learn from successes. Now, that's true. Now, have you ever done something and just the first time you nailed it right out of the gate? You got it. perfect is right, and you succeeded. But you know what? Interesting thing about that is most of the time we learn very little from that. Now, can we emulate that every time? Odds are no. Not in every endeavor in life. We are not going to come right out of the gate, first time, first try, succeed, everything's going to be perfect. Probably not going to happen. So here's what I'm telling you. Sometimes in life, as a child, going through school, sometimes we mess up, we don't do as good as we can, we have failures. As an adult, we need to learn that failure is what makes us better. Don't look at it as a negative. Failure should be looked at and can be a positive if we accept it in that light. We learn from it. We learn very little from our successes, but many times if we view them right, we learn a whole lot from our failure. So view that as a stepping stone, as an opportunity, as a way to gain knowledge and gain experience in life, and use that as a step up. Now, as you're building wealth, as you're setting goals in life, and you're achieving those goals, realize those failures are very important. They're golden. You should accept them as a gold nugget that teaches you how to better succeed. If you're wanting to become redneck rich, learn that failure will help you to get there. Failure is a good thing.